Okay, so I've been warned that I'm standing between you and lunch, so I will not take that long. Basically, I'm going to be talking more about bots, robotics process automation, but toward the end, I'll kind of meld it to artificial intelligence. So, again, I'm from the Department of the Interior. I'm the Deputy Assistant Secretary, and I started at Interior in 2019, March of 2019, and I came from another federal agency as their Deputy Assistant Secretary. And at that federal agency, we were actually using artificial intelligence. And as I tried to get that agency to move forward into robotics process automation, they were like, no, we don't want to use it, no way, no how. They didn't want to learn about it. So we kind of moved down the path early on from 2017 until I left in 2019 with artificial intelligence. I won't go into all the different projects that we worked on there and the pilots. However, when I moved over to the Department of the Interior, I forgot about one little thing, and that is that every federal department is a little bit different. The culture, yes, not only just the mission, but the culture is a little bit different, and the people are a little bit different. So I came over raring to go at Interior. I was like, yes, let's do some artificial intelligence. Let me tell you what I was doing over in my other agency. And they were like, no, we want to do robotics process automation. And I was like, oh my God. I couldn't get the other agency to do RPA, but now I can get you guys to do RPA. So they actually already had a few use cases for me. It was they had another governance structure that was already in place with regard to other IT governance. We had an executive steering committee that was very useful as we moved down the path with robotics process automation. So it was a little bit easier to get them to do robotics process automation, RPA, but I couldn't really get them to do AI. So we'll talk about that towards the end. They did not want to do AI. Okay, so basically, if you've heard anything about Department of Interior, we have a bot, a very famous bot named Bob, and he is welded to our acquisition process. So one of the things that the staffing at DOI have learned about having bots in place, because we now have 14 bots in place, they're in different lines of business, 4 of which are in the acquisition lifecycle. But they have reduced the inconsistent language that has been used. So if you know anything about putting data into systems, sometimes state can be the actual word state, and they put the whole word in, or they might put MD in for Maryland, or they might put big M, little d, or MD period, or MARY, and not put the rest. And so basically, the bots have helped us standardize the different types of data that we put into the system. We have less human error, keying in information, compliance monitoring, and we also have automated audit trails. So basically, for how the contracting bots have integrated into our existing system, basically, we have an old acquisition system, number one. It's a very old legacy system. I will not tell you the name of it, but we were not using it cradle to grave in acquisition lifecycle. So basically, rather than spend additional money into an old way of doing business, we actually invested in using RPA for the contract closeout part, which was very behind. We knew that it needed to be in compliance right away, and we needed to start de-obligating monies as soon as possible that was sitting out there and as an unliquidated obligation. So basically, we put in our first bot in the acquisition process. His name is Bob, and so far to date, he's closed 92,737 contracts. So he has basically Bob, we think of him as a person. He's won 3 awards, so, and he's very, very much motivated the rest of DOI to start doing more bots. So not just the budget, finance, grants, and acquisitions under my purview, but also there's bots in the Interior Business Center and across the department, because we're a little bit competitive within our agency. But Bob has been very good at avoiding 92,000 hours as far as labor with the financial assistance and the contracting people, that it normally takes about an hour to an hour and a half to actually do a contract closeout. And so at 92,000, we've saved over 92,000 hours or more in contracting closeout. In addition to that, our grants people like to learn from what our acquisition people do. And so basically, now we're looking at grant closeout with the acquisition bot. So they can be transferred over the same type of coding, just a little bit of modification. Also, we have Bobby the modifier, which modifies our terms and conditions in our contracts, and we have the AIScoop, which helps us to do compliance dashboards on the contracts that we award with regard to compliance with the Small Business Act and the types of contracts, such as women-owned business, veteran-owned business, and hub zones. So basically, what does the future of RPA look like for us? Since we have so many successful bounded bots, what we want to do is we want to start using AI bots. So basically, in a nutshell, these are going to be a little bit more unbounded and using some artificial intelligence rather than us continuously having to train it. The bot will actually kind of learn from the user that it is interacting with. And we are thinking of using that more with training our acquisition workforce. So we want to have an AI chat bot that can interact, that we train up initially on the contracting competencies, skill sets, et cetera, and then that bot can interact with our workforce and actually help them learn about cost analysis or the contract renewal process or market analysis, or even the new FAR. We've now renovated the FAR across the federal government. We've updated it. So now training them on the new parts to the Federal Acquisition Regulation. So basically, we have started this process. We're talking to our different workforce with regard to what their training needs are. You just heard from the Office Personnel Management Director, Scott, that we do have a little bit of a weakness in the workforce with regard to artificial intelligence knowledge and so forth. So the bot will also be helpful in training up our workforce with that. And I'm constantly like looking at this clock. It's like, and you guys are like, leave us alone, we want to go to lunch. So basically, I would just say in a nutshell, the next stage for us at the Department of the Interior is looking at artificial intelligence, RPA, within our acquisition lifecycle, within our grants lifecycle, and within our budget lifecycle. Our budget office is looking for all the help that they can get. It's been a really up and down situation with regard to budget formulation, execution, and so we are looking to definitely put in AI bots into the budget workforce and continuing on in the acquisition workforce and into the grants management workforce. So with that, I will leave you there. I didn't have them cheering today. Last time I had everybody cheering, but anyway, we are very much looking forward to moving forward with AI, RPA, and agentic AI. Thank you.